Hi everyone, welcome to the Jayda InStitches show. A little while ago we made this, an elegant baby blanket using Ice Cream Big Scoop by Lion Brand Yarns. And in that tutorial, which we've linked down below for you, we mentioned that after you finished making the blanket with the Ice Cream Big Scoop, you'd probably have enough yarn left over to make a little something extra in case you wanted to give this blanket as part of a gift set. Well, today we've got the little something extra for you. We are going to use what's left of the Ice Cream Big Scoop and make a pair of booties. Ice Cream is a size 3 lightweight acrylic yarn. It comes in a whole bunch of really pretty self-striping colors. This particular colorway is lemon meringue. We will link to Lion Brand Yarns in the description box down below so you can run over there and check out all the colors they have. And the big scoop is just a really big ball of the ice cream yarn. And from that ball of yarn, you can get a whole blanket and a pair of booties. Now these little booties have a bit of that elegant baby blanket pattern around the cuff. So they can be worn with the cuff turned up like a sock, which is really handy if you're going to put them on a baby who's in a onesie, because the onesie will help keep the sock on. You can also run a little ribbon or a little tie or something through the spaces in the first row of the cuff if you have trouble keeping those booties on because those little legs want to kick. But you can also roll the cuff down and wear it like a little bootie. Now today's tutorial will show you how to make these booties, which will fit a newborn to size 3 month. We'll also explain how you can make these to fit a preemie. Our written pattern available in our Etsy shop has the instructions for the preemie, newborn to size 3 months, 4 months to 9 months, and 9 months to 12 months in it. So if you're looking to make a pair of booties that's just a little bit bigger, then our written pattern will explain that for you. Now I want to say you might need a little bit of extra yarn if you're going to make them for a baby, a bigger baby, but whatever you've got left over from having made our baby blanket, you should definitely have enough to make a pair of sock booties for a preemie or a newborn. All right, let's grab our hooks, grab our yarn, we'll head on over to the craft table and we will stitch up an elegant pair of baby booties together. In order to make our elegant baby booties to match our elegant baby blanket, that tutorial is linked down below in the description box, I will be using what's left of our Lion Brand Ice Cream Big Scoop in the colorway Lemon Meringue. For a pair of these booties, you need about 50 yards of a size 3 lightweight baby weight DK weight yarn. This is acrylic, and you want a pair of scissors, a yarn needle, and a stitch marker. I will be making a pair of booties to fit a newborn to about 3 months. I mean, baby feet do change a little bit and they vary from baby to baby, but this will fit newborn to 3 months or so. I'm using a 4mm hook. You could also use a 4.25mm hook. This is also known as a G or a 6. If you want to make this pair of booties to match for a preemie, then you just need to change your hook size to a 3mm, also known as a D or a 3. And you will follow the instructions the same that I am using today for this tutorial. Just a quick note, our written pattern also includes instructions to make these booties for a slightly bigger foot, 4 months to about 9 months. But today we're going to make them for brand new babies. And once you've got all that together, we can get started. Your finished little sock booty will look something like this. You'll have a toe section, an upper section, a heel section, and this is the ankle section. This is the cuff. The booty can be worn like this. A ribbon can be woven through the spaces of cuff row number 1, and you can wear it with the cuff turned up, or the cuff can be rolled down. And the ribbon can still be put through that cuff row 1. The bow can be out the front as opposed to out at the bottom. So either way, you've got a short little booty for little tiny feet, or it can be rolled up and it will help keep the booty on the foot, especially if this is worn over a onesie, because this will kind of cling to the bottom of the onesie legging. So there's a couple ways this little sock can be worn. We're going to begin at the toe. We're going to start with a little cinch circle. The basis of this sock booty pattern is a stitch count of 9. So into row 1, we are going to work 9 single crochets into that cinch circle, and this is the same for all sizes. Once you have 9 single crochet in your little cinch circle, grab that short tail, cinch it up nice and tight. We don't want any spaces at the toe. And you can work over top of your short tail as we continue for row 2 and beyond. Much of this sock is worked in the round, so we do not join our rows with a slip stitch or chain 1 to begin a new row unless specifically directed. So we're really only going to do that in the heel section. So for most of this sock, we're just working the first stitch of the new row into what was the first stitch of the previous row. At the end of row 1, you've got 9 stitches. For row 2, we're going to work 2 single crochet in each stitch all the way around. We're going to increase up to 18 single crochets at the end of row 2. You might find it helpful if you have trouble keeping track to just mark that first stitch of the row with a stitch marker so you know where you're at when you get back around to it. 2 single crochet in each stitch all the way around. I'll catch up with you at the end of row 2. At the end of row 2, you'll have 18 single crochets. We're going to continue to increase now for row 3 into the next stitch, which was stitch 1 of row 2. We're going to begin with 2 single crochet. 2 single crochet into the first stitch of the row, or what was the first stitch of the previous row. I'm going to mark the first of those 2 stitches with my stitch marker. That's row 3, stitch 1 there. You're going to single crochet once into the next stitch. We are increasing from a stitch count of 18 up to 27. 2 single crochet into the next stitch. Single crochet once into the stitch after that. So your little pattern is 2 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 2, 1, 2, 1, all the way back to the stitch marker. And I'll catch up with you there. At the end of row 3, you'll have 27 stitches. You want to take a moment now and grab your measuring tape and just quickly check your gauge. You should be at roughly 1.5 inches or 3.5 centimeters for a preemie. That's the diameter of the toe section. And it should be 5 centimeters or about 2 inches for a regular newborn slipper. Now I want to just stress that your next row will increase the size of it a little bit. So if you're just under that that sizing, don't worry, that's just fine, because not only is your next row going to make this a little bit bigger, but the little socks will stretch a bit too. So don't worry about that too much, but that is the target measurement you're going for at the end of row 3. We're going to build the foot part of the section now. This is the section that runs between the toe and the heel. So you're just single crocheting in each stitch all the way around. You're still going to have 27 stitches in each row. You might still want to use your stitch marker on that first stitch if you want to just keep track of how many rows you've done. It's also helpful to kind of write them down. If you finish a row, just have a little pen and paper handy and just write a little tick on it so that you know that you've marked off another row. You're going to do 9 rows in total of just single crocheting each stitch around. So that will bring you up to the end of what's essentially row 12 of the sock, but you're doing 9 rows of just straight single crochet. Single crochet in each stitch all the way around. Remember, you are not joining a row with a slip stitch. You are not chaining 1 to start the new row. You are just single crocheting around and around and around in a spiral. I'll catch up with you at the end of row 12. That's 9 rows of single crochet in each stitch all the way around, I should say. I'm at the end of row 12 in total. So I'm here, that's row 1. Row 1 turns into row 2 right there. I've been using my stitch marker. At the end of row 9 of the foot, or row 12 in total, you just want to single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. And all that's going to do is just even up the edge of your sock to be more or less in alignment with where row 1 turns into row 2. We are going to go now to the heel, but first you might want to double check your gauge. So if you flatten out your little booty and you measure it from the toe to the edge, for a preemie you're looking at 5 centimeters or 2 inches, and for a newborn you're looking at about 6.5 centimeters or 2.5 inches. Now, all feet are different. If you have a particularly long foot that you're making these for, you can add a few more rows and make it longer. And if your gauge is a little bit off and you're a little bit short, or you're concerned, just add a couple more rows. It's not going to change the pattern, you're just making the foot section longer. So you're going for those rough measurements, or if you need a longer foot, you can add a few more rows for whatever reason. Just make sure that when you finish your last row, you're back at about here, right? Sort of in alignment where row 1 turns into row 2. And then once you're ready to do the heel, come on back and we'll do the heel together. This is the heel section of our little booty. It is built working back and forth and back and forth and back and forth for 7 rows in total. So here we go. Right from where you finished off your last row, we're going to single crochet into each of the next 8 stitches. So you might find that marking that first stitch is helpful, just because we are going to be working back and forth, and that first row can be a little easy to lose track of where stitch number 1 is. So after you make your first stitch, just put your little stitch marker on it. You want to single crochet into each of the first 8 stitches. That's 8 single crochet all the way across. We are now going to chain 1 and turn. We're going to work back across those 8 single crochet we just made. You always skip your turning chain. The turning chain is just there to kind of turn you around when you're using single crochet. Single crochet back across those 8 stitches. That's single crochet back across those 8 stitches. You are now going to single crochet into the next stitch that was right next to the first stitch of your previous row. So now you've done 9 stitches. Chain 1 turn. You really don't need your stitch marker anymore, because now it's a little more obvious where the rows are going to begin and end. You're going to single crochet back across those 9 stitches, and then we'll be single crocheting into the stitch next to our 9th stitch, but that is back down on the base of the little stocking here. So once you single crochet into those 9 stitches, so you're crocheting back across the 9 stitches you just did, all the way down here is the next single crochet along the foot. So you dive all the way back down here and single crochet into that next stitch. That makes stitch number 10. Whenever you're working these little side single crochets, make them a little tight, because that will help keep any little gaps from showing up in the edge of your heel. Once you've done that single crochet, chain 1 turn, you're going to single crochet now back all the way across those 10 and single crochet into the stitch next to that piece. So the very next stitch on the foot. That's single crochet into those 10 stitches. I'll catch up with you at the end of the next row and I'll show you what that looks like. So I'm nearing the end of row 4. I've single crocheted back across those 10 stitches, and now I want to single crochet into the next stitch along the foot. So I go all the way down here and single crochet. Remember, keep it just a little on the tight side so that you don't end up with any gaps in the side of your heel. Chain 1 turn so you don't have any little gaps. We are basically working a little gradually kind of ever widening arc shape. That's the heel. You will now single crochet, so you've chain 1 turn. Remember, you're skipping your chain 1. Single crochet back across those now 11 stitches, because that's the end of row 4. You have 11 stitches, all the way across those 11 stitches, and then into the next stitch along the foot. That makes number 12. Chain 1 turn. Work all the way back across those 12 stitches and into the next stitch along the foot. That makes 13. Chain 1 turn. Work all the way back across those 13 stitches and into the next stitch, which will be over here. That'll be stitch number 14. I will catch up with you there. In total, you will have 7 rows of the heel section. Row 6 took you all the way back over here. You single crocheted into the next stitch along the foot. That gave you 13 stitches, chain 1 turn, all the way back across now for row 7 of the heel, back across those 13 stitches, and now over here into the next stitch along the foot. This is stitch number 14, and your little heel section is complete. So you've got your toe, your foot, and now your heel. And if you look at the top, We are going to continue now working around. So we're back to working in a circle, working around the whole foot. This is now to work the upper part. So row 1 of the upper section, or the first solid row of single crochet, we're not increasing or decreasing. We are going to start to single crochet. So right next to stitch number 14, that's where that row 7 of the heel ended. Row 1 of the sock upper starts right next to it. So you don't turn, you don't chain 1, you don't slip stitch, nothing. You just keep single crocheting. You might want to mark that first stitch though. So your row 7 of the heel section finishes. Row 1 of the foot upper section starts right here in the very next stitch. Mark it with a stitch marker. Now you can single crochet in each stitch all the way around. You'll be back to 27 stitches because that is the complete stitch count for the entire little booty. So there's 13 stitches around the front of the foot, and there's 14 stitches across the heel section. When you get right next to that edge of the heel section, you just put your hook in what was the last stitch of row 7 of the heel, or the first stitch, I suppose, of row 7 of the heel. Single crochet a little tightly, just so you don't end up with any gapping down the side of your heel, and continue to single crochet in each stitch back across the heel. There'll be 14 of them, 13 across the front of the booty, 14 across the back of the heel. That's 27 stitches in total. And then you are going to single crochet in each stitch all the way around for 4 more rows for a preemie, 5 more rows for newborn to size 3 months. And of course I'm doing the newborn sized booties, so I'm going to do 5 more rows on top of this of just straight single crochet all the way around. And now it's easy, there's no more gapping, you're just working into every single crochet from the previous row. If you want, you can mark that first single crochet with your stitch marker, and I count like this. I know that I had 12 rows in the first part of my sock. So if I'm looking at the top, I put the heel to the back and I'm looking at the top of the booty. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I know that my little booty stopped there, and then I built the heel. And now I've made my first row of single crochet for the upper section of my sock. So you've got toe, foot, heel, and then the upper section. But if you're counting just from the toe up across the top of the booty, you know that you're not counting the heel. You're just going to keep this that flows right into the upper part of the booty. So you just skip counting your heel section if you want to count to make, if you get lost and you're trying to figure out how many sort of rows you've got past the heel. Look at it from the top. Find your first 12 rows, and then you can count all the rows above that. You want 4 rows, or I should say 5 rows in total for a preemie, 6 rows in total from the top of the heel onward for the upper section, and that's before we get to the cuff. Now, having said that, if you want to make your booty a little taller, you can work as many rows of just straight single crochet, working around and around and around. No joining of the rows, no chain ones to begin, just single crochet around. If you want to make your sock a little bit taller, so there's no limit on the rows if you want to make a taller sock. If you've got really loose stitching, or maybe you're running out of yarn, you can make it a few rows shorter if you want, because we need to put on the little cuff. And the cuff, like I said, you can wear that sock with the cuff turned up or with the cuff turned down. So this is now kind of an adjustable section, just like the foot part of the stocking was adjustable as well. But I will be working 6 rows of single crochet in total for this little sock. You can do as many or as few as you like, depending on your needs. Just make sure you write it down if it's different than what I'm doing, because you want to make your second sock exactly the same as your first. I will see you at the end of 6 rows of single crochet. I have finished 6 rows of just straight single crochet, worked around and around and around, no joining. Quick gauge check for yourself. If you're making these for a preemie, here's the bottom edge of your heel. From the bottom of the heel up to the top edge of the upper part of the sock, you should be about 1 3/4 inches or 4.5 centimeters. And for a newborn, which I'm making, you want to be about 6 centimeters or 2 1/4 inches. So this is that distance here if you're going to measure it. Like I said, if you want to make it taller, you can add more rows. That's perfectly fine. But now we're going to get into the cuff section. And this is what really makes these little booties match our elegant baby blanket. We're going to add a slightly pared down version of that elegant crochet stitch pattern to the top edge of our little sock booty. So here we go. Right from where you finished off your last row of the sock upper, and you'll be about even with that edge, that little corner of the heel, you're going to chain 3. Single crochet into the very next stitch. Now this shouldn't be too hard to see, but you can always put your stitch marker on that little chain 3 space if you want to. We're going to skip 3 stitches, find the next one, and work a fan into it. That is a double crochet, chain 1, 5 times into the same place. So double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1. So that's 5 double crochet chain 1s. Finish it with 1 last double crochet. And that is a fan. Double crochet chain 1 5 times, double crochet into the same stitch. We're going to skip 3 stitches, find the next one, and single crochet into it. Chain 3, and single crochet into the next stitch. Skip the next 3 stitches, find the 4th, and work a fan into it. Double crochet, chain 1, 5 times, double crochet once more, all into the same stitch. Double crochet once more, so you have 6 double crochets and 5 chain 1 spaces in between. Skip 3 stitches, single crochet into the next stitch, chain 3, single crochet into the next stitch, and that leaves us with 1 fan left to do. Skip 3 stitches, find the next one, and work a fan into it. Double crochet, chain 1 5 times, double crochet. After your last fan, you'll have 1 2 3 4 stitches. So 1 2 3 are the ones you skip, and that brings you back to the first single crochet of the row that sits beneath that chain 3 that we began with. Slip stitch into that 4th stitch. So skip 3 stitches, slip stitch into that single crochet there, and then slip stitch into the chain 3 space. So slip stitch right into that, and that sets us up for row 2 of the little elegant stitch pattern. We're going to chain 3. That counts as a double crochet into the chain 3 loop, chain 2, 2 double crochet into the same loop, and this is a split shell. 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet is a split shell. You're going to work a split shell into each of these chain 3 loops all the way around. So chain 3 counts as a double crochet. 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, chain 1. And now we're looking at a fan from the previous row. We're going to skip the first 2 double crochets of that fan, find the 3rd double crochet, and single crochet into the top of it, chain 3, and single crochet into the next double crochet. So single crochet, chain 3, single crochet, worked into the top 2 middle double crochets of a fan. Chain 1. That brings you back to a little chain 3 loop. Work a split shell into it. 2 double crochet, chain 2, and 2 double crochet. Two double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, chain 1. You're looking at a fan. Find the middle 2 double crochets, single crochet, chain 3 into that first double crochet stitch of the middle 2, and then single crochet into the top of the next double crochet. So you're working a little single crochet, chain 3, single crochet loop into the top middle of a fan from the previous row, chain 1, that brings you back to a loop, split shell into it, 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, all into that little loop, chain 1, and you've got one more fan to work into. Find the 2 middle double crochets, single crochet, chain 3, and then single crochet into the top of the next double crochet stitch, chain 1, and that brings you back to the beginning of the row where you started with a chain 3. That's your split shell. Find the top of the chain 3 and slip stitch to join. So that was a split shell row. You'll have a split shell in each of those little chain 3 loops all the way around, and you have built a chain 3 loop into the top of each of those fans from the previous row. We're going to repeat the fan stitch row. So we want to slip stitch into the next stitch, which is the top of a double crochet from that split shell that started the last row. We're not chaining, we're just going to single crochet directly into the chain 2 space. So single crochet, chain 3, and single crochet back into that chain 2 space. Find the loop that sits directly above the shell, or I should say the fan from the previous row. So there's a fan, there's the little chain 3 loop in the middle of it. Work a fan into it. Double crochet, chain 1 5 times, and then one more double crochet all into that chain 3 loop. Your fan stitches sit on top of fan stitches. So the fan stitches are all in alignment. There's just a little chain 3 loop that separate them. Double crochet, chain 1 5 times, double crochet into the loop. Find the split shell from the previous row. You're looking for the middle of it. Single crochet, chain 3, and single crochet all into that middle of the split shell. You're back to the little chain 3 loop on top of a fan from the previous row. Work a fan into it. Double crochet, chain 1 5 times, double crochet all into the same loop. Once you've finished a fan, you'll be over here to another split shell. You work single crochet, chain 3, single crochet into that space in the middle of the split shell. That gives you one more chain 3 loop on top of a fan from the previous row. So you're going to fan stitch into that, double crochet, chain 1 5 times, double crochet, and then we'll be almost back at the beginning. So I will catch up with you at the end of this little row. Remember, it's fan, and then single crochet, chain 3, single crochet in the middle of a split shell, and then fan. After your last fan, double crochet, chain 1 5 times, double crochet all into that chain 3 space that sits above the fan from the previous row. You'll have 3 fans, so 3 fans all the way around. That brings you back to the little single crochet, chain 3, single crochet that you began the row with in the middle of that split shell from the second row of the cuff. You want to find that single crochet that you began the whole row with and just slip stitch to join. So your cuff is 3 rows of the elegant fan stitch pattern. Fan stitch, little chain 3 loop, fan stitch, chain 3 loop, fan stitch, chain 3 loop. You'll have 3 fan stitches and 3 chain 3 loops all the way around. In the second row, you'll put a split shell in the middle of the little chain 3 loop. So 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, and then chain 1. Then you're creating a little loop in the top middle of a fan. You repeat that around. You'll have 3 split shells and 3 chain 3 loops. And then in the last row, you're repeating the fans. So the fans go into the chain 3 loops, and into the middle of a split shell, you're working a little chain 3 loop. So single crochet, chain 3, single crochet. You'll have 3 of each all the way around, and that's it. You can fasten off. And take a moment to weave in your tail. Now, if you think you're going to be using your sock bootie with the cuff turned down, then you want to weave your tail in on the front. If you think you're going to be wearing it though with the cuff turned up, then you want to weave it in on the inside. So it doesn't really matter, obviously. You can't really see where I've woven in my tail on this one. As long as you're neat and you stick to the same colored stitches when you're weaving in a tail, it doesn't really matter what side it's on. But you do want to take a moment to weave that tail in back and forth a couple times through the same stitches so that it does not want to come undone. So you're looking for little loops of stitches that are relatively close together. Go through maybe, so I'm going to go through all of the loops underneath this fan stitch here. And after I run my needle through a bunch of stitches, I always also pull back on the stitches to make sure that I'm not cinching anything together. And then I turn around and I work back through the same stitches. So I hop over the last loop so that that doesn't want to just come undone. And then I go back through the same stitches and the same loops going in the other direction. And this helps to really keep those tails from wanting to come out. And do that back and forth until you run out of tail to weave in. And you're all done. And there we go, a really cute little pair of baby booties that match our elegant baby blanket. And of course you can wear them with the cuffs turned down or the cuffs turned up, whichever is more comfortable or whichever you think is cuter. So you can wear them with the cuff rolled down, you can wear them with the cuff turned up, a little bit more like a sock, but any way you wear them, they're really, really cute. And the best part is they match the baby blanket, which again, we've linked that tutorial in the description box down below. So you can make an entire set in time for the new bundle of joy that should be arriving this spring. We'd like to thank Lion Brand Yarns again for sponsoring today's video, and please be sure to check out their website. We've got them linked in the description box down below. We hope you enjoyed making these cute little baby socks along with us, and we will see you soon here on the Jayda and Stitches show. Until then, stay safe, stay crafty, and have a great week. Bye guys!
Hi everybody, Mr. InStitches here. Thank you for watching today. Here are some of our other videos you might be interested in. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe.